Madison, Wisconsin is as good as it gets if you are like me and you love the college sports.
This is the Jump Around with Jim Rutledge and Pablo Iglesias, outfitted by Iron Jock Apparel, streaming live on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Dancing down the sidelines, and they catch him now! The Badgers answer instantly. There will be no undefeated champion on Wisconsin with an unbelievable stretch drive to the championship game. Gordon again! Inside the 5, touchdown! What a performance by Melvin Gordon!
Chucky Hepburn, Big Ten on the line.
Yes! It's over. The Wisconsin Badgers win 17-9. They are the first Big Ten team ever to win successive Rose Bowl games.
That is the best college sports town in America.
This is the Jump Around, a Badger-dedicated show, live on the ESPN Madison and the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube stream. Jim Rutledge alongside Pablo Iglesias, and you can stream this show back on the ESPN Wisconsin app. And Pablo, we are thrilled to be joined by David Gilreath a little bit later in the show. A historic day for David Gilreath, as it was 17 years ago, is that right?
No, 15.
15 years ago.
15 exactly.
15 years ago today. David Gilreath took the opening kickoff to the house as the Badgers beat Ohio State.
Man, there's no better way to start out a ball game, and that just set the tone from there.
Yeah.
That's what that moment was. Take down when number one's in your house. That is the way you got to throw out a punch in that first round.
I was in the house, and I will have a house fall on my head if that's how the Badgers start their game against Ohio State, because I feel like that's as much likely to happen as whoever it is returning kicks for the Badgers return it to the house.
House is falling on you like a wicked witch
Wicked
Witch of the West.
Yes, yes. Man, the Iowa game, quick. That's a fireball offense. I think that's my only take about the Iowa game. You built your entire offseason. You built your entire persona for the season, your entire message for the season to beat Iowa, and you get beat by a larger margin of victory than the last time you played, because wasn't that like 42-10?
It was 42-10.
Yep.
And what's the most embarrassing thing for me is that you get shut out. It's homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
You put up a big old goose egg.
Yep.
And to your point, that was the focal point, being at Squat Fest, hearing that 42, 42, 42, all of those chants. This is something that you centered your entire season around. This was your revenge game moment. This was what you were trying to get after, and that is how you answer. I know you're dealing with injuries. I know that you're still trying to find your identity, which actually shouldn't even really be an excuse. But this is where we're at. That's how you respond. That's how you come out and play in this game. It's just, it's so terrible. Like, it feels like if you're trying to figure out how to execute the fundamentals and you're playing this sloppy, there's no attention to detail. The interceptions were just putrid.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it in different senses, too, of how the stadium started to clear out. This is what it's starting to feel like now, is that it's like what a friend of mine said, can't wait for the Bad Bunny concert, and also there's a football game around it, too, for the Super Bowl. It's the same thing.
Yep.
People are just going to go now to Camp Randall because, hey, you guys want to go to Jump Around, and here's what's happening in between it.
Yep. Yes. That every Badger fan left after the Jump Around. And I was in a section that was more Hawkeye in general, but I'm hearing Hawkeye chants with nobody trying to chant them down or anything. Mm-hmm. Nor should they, because we're being embarrassed. Like, let them chant. They earned it all. It was a disgusting performance. It really got me thinking, if not now, then when?
Yeah.
Like, if this isn't the performance that you decide I got to fire Luke Fickell for, then when are you going to do it if you're Chris McIntosh? And there was more fire Fickell chants.
The only case, Pablo, that I could even remotely buy, but it's a very depressing case, is that it's too expensive to move on from Luke Fickell. But Penn State just moved on from James Franklin, and his buyout's almost double of Luke Fickell.
Second highest payout in college football history, next to Jimbo, which I think it was like 70-something at Texas A&M.
$75 million for old Jimbo down at Florida State. Or not Florida State.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, yeah.
Oh, God.
For me, I feel like it applies some type of pressure. It applies some pressure now because, yes, 25, 20, whatever the case is, that's still a big number. Don't get me wrong.
And
that
you
is
don't have to cut
number.
a check immediately. You can negotiate terms. You might be able to buy that number down a little bit. You might be able to spread out over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
There's lots of things you can do with it.
And for me, though, I feel like it just adds some type of pressure, or it should, for the decision makers. Because I'm not saying that everything is a case-by-case basis. Let's be real. Let's not just say that because Penn State did it, that Wisconsin has to do it. I feel like at least that pressure, the seat should be a lot warmer at the very least for the decision makers in terms of, well, if Penn State is willing to do this to put themselves back into the winning positions that they came very close to, then what the heck is Wisconsin doing? If Wisconsin thinks that they can move forward and they want to get back to that prominence, they want to. We have heard this week in and week out that there's no identity to this team. What is Wisconsin's DNA? We know what they are of the past. And heck, even Kelly Stauffer, who was on a couple weeks ago here, said that the power offense of the Power O run is coming back. That it's not just about trying to completely transform this offense. You can go to the spread. You can do these things. But also it's like, you got to figure something out. So going back to the whole thing, again, it's a case-by-case basis with Franklin getting fired and the fact that Penn State is willing to pay him out. But I feel like that at least if Penn State's willing to do that, and this is somebody who is a top dog or one of the top dogs in your conference.
101 and 42. 101 and 42 is his record. His record, it was 64 and 33 in the Big Ten.
Yep.
I mean,
it's a lot better than 15 and 17 overall in 2.5 seasons under Luke Fickell, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And the rebuild for him going into Penn State was so much harder. Everything he had to try and bring back after the Joe Paterno days at Penn State, like he did so much, and he had that team in a college football playoff game last year. 3 of them actually, a semifinal game last year.
Yeah,
they were one play away.
We'd all take James Franklin. Right?
Oh my gosh!
Like if you get him on a discount because he's got a $45 million buyout there.
Do you guys see that too? He has to part of the deal is that he has to look for jobs actively.
Yeah.
Like
right.
That was the terms with the agreement terms or something like that.
Because that's the other part of this, and I'm sure the Badgers could write that into it for Fickell. You can set it that it won't be 25.
Yeah.
Like Fickell, when he gets another job, this number will be cut down, and Fickell will get another job.
Yeah.
And so you look at it like this number could very reasonably be $15 million or $10 million in the end. And it's not that you want to light that money on fire, but here's the thing. It's going to cost more money to keep Luke Fickell than it will to fire him. Because the damage he is doing to the program is going to get close to irreversible, or at least irreversible in a timeline Badger fans want. There's a lot of problems with the University of Wisconsin's football program. And Mack is part of it, and Fickell's part of it, the entire staff's part of it, the chancellor's part of it. They're all part of it. But you can't keep Luke Fickell around anymore because he is the face of this. And if you just look from a sheer dollars and cents side of it, the Badger brand is garbage right now for football. The Badger brand for football is garbage. Who in their right mind is cutting a legitimately large check to keep this program going with Luke Fickell at the helm? I mean, why would you do that? Let alone, I mean, I'm talking to Ted Kellner's, the big money people of the world, and they still will, but you might not get as much, and they're not going to be as willing. But what about all the other folks? What about the business owners who are alums who maybe contribute $100,000 to the Varsity Collective? Why are they doing that now? Like, what would be their motivation to do so? And from what I hear, the way that everything is handled from the NIL side of it and the fundraising part of it is already a disaster. So if you're not capable of doing it, then you better be a good football team, so then people at least throw money at you if you're incompetent in actually gathering the money. But the first thing I would do, and you got to fire Luke Fickell because, again, he's the head of the brand. He's the brand manager, and the brand is trash. You have to get rid of him because you're not going to get people to spend money with this program with Luke Fickell as the coach. It's too far gone. The Iowa game, if there's anyone hanging on, you can't watch that team get smoked by Iowa with no heart and lose 37-0 and be like, yeah, let's give this guy another year.
They didn't even beat him in a fancy way. And I don't want to harp on that game too much. Yeah. It's just that they won the game that Iowa is always known for. And are they playing for Big Ten championships? Are they playing for the national titles right now? No, they still are a work in progress, too, in terms of the bigger scheme.
We're aspiring to be Iowa. Like,
exactly.
That's where we're at. Like, we all are
We're just aspiring to get a win this year.
Right, yeah. Pie in the sky, let's be Iowa.
We're just trying to get a Big Ten win.
And so, with all of that, if I'm being honest, who I want to hire is whoever the hell is in charge of the NIL for Indiana. Or some other up-and-coming program. Who did that? Who built that system out where those players are getting paid, they're getting top-notch players? Fernando Mendoza was not a find. That was a hell of a pickup. He was a transfer from Cal.
Badgers wanted him too.
Right. Mm-hmm. Couldn't get him. Well, it could be the play on the field, but it also could be that my understanding is the Badgers might have one of the worst NIL systems in all of sport or all of college football. You need to have a scout. I mean, go look at what some of these schools are doing. They have scouting departments, full-on scouting departments. Then they have people whose entire job is to reach out to coaches and kind of basically they run like NFL teams. So this isn't even about paying assistant coaches. It's about everything going on with this team that feels behind the times. They have to get better at finding these players. They got to figure out a better way to pay these players, to entice these players, and oh, by the way, coach these players. So I don't know if they all have to go, and we can all have different shows and talk about that, but Luke Fickell has to go because it's costing the Badgers more money to keep him. You are going to be lost revenue. Opportunity cost is large. It's missed opportunity cost if you keep Luke Fickell. You bring in a new coach who has the excitement, who's willing to come here and try to fix things. That can get you money to compete going forward, which then fills up Regent Street, which then makes those bars full, which makes the beer people happy, which makes all the other businesses happy, and then they all give you more money.
What we're missing here, too, is, yes, it's a big thing for Madison. It's a big thing for this area, for business owners, all of that. But conversations that I've had with alumni, too, very, very close in terms of this Badger program and the pride that they have, too. They are starting to wonder. I don't even think it's like that they're starting to wonder. They have straight up no confidence right now in this program. They truly bleed Cardinal and white. Don't get me wrong, and they still stand by it. But it's also to the point where they're frustrated. They're frustrated to the point of what happened to the Wisconsin football that we knew. And that's not saying going back to the old ways. It's more so about the attitude. How are they going out into this field? And it breaks my heart, too, to see that the players, too, clearly know that they are not playing up to the Wisconsin standard, but they are trying to. It just, for me, like a couple weeks ago, when you see a guy like Aaron Witt, who is just giving it his all, like for instance, and just says that he knows. He knows that, unfortunately, they are not playing up to the Wisconsin standard. They know they're trying to uphold it. But the fact that everybody is, I think Luke Fickell actually did use the word in his press conference when I was there, was dumbfounded. Was dumbfounded right now in this situation. He admitted to us right there that he has never been, which I understand, he's never been in a hole like this. He's never been in a situation like this. They're trying to get out of it. And this is beyond a Luke Fickell thing. Yes, is he a prime part of why Wisconsin is lost right now? 100%. But I think there's a bigger thing right now in terms of what is happening. What is happening? How can Wisconsin get back to its identity? And genuinely, I have no answer. I have no clear path. I cannot see a clear path right now in this very moment how Wisconsin gets back to that true run heavy, that aggressive, physical type of DNA that they once had. And it's just terrible to see that this is how they're lost.
Let's hear from Barry Alvarez.
This is about pride. I mean, you're playing on a team, and you go out and play like that, and everybody in that stadium saw a lack of effort.
You just said it.
You can say anything you want.
It's about pride.
To have Iowa put the game away in the first quarter, give me a break.
It's absolutely about pride. You know, we got this all three 90s championship Rose Bowl champions coming back for Ohio State this weekend. Coach them all. They're all coming back. You don't think we're on these text threads about pride? That is, I mean, when we do that against a rival, Iowa, we're not even in the game in the first quarter, and we're laying down like that. That's not going to happen here.
And you know what? I hate to be critical, but if anybody's upset with that, go look at film.
Yeah.
This is not us being critical. It's us being honest. Look at what happened. We saw it. We saw it firsthand, then watched the replay. Saw it again.
That last part almost seemed like a direct message to anyone around the university that has any issue with what Barry Alvarez is saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's the case, but it really felt like Barry's like, this isn't. He specifically said this isn't being negative. This is just being factual. Yeah. Before we get to the stuff with talking about what Barry just said there, I want to get from The Athletic. They have Wisconsin basically in the most dire straits of any program in all of college football right now in the Power 5 or Power 4. Here's what The Athletic had to say. Wisconsin, number 1. Hiring Luke Fickell away from Cincinnati looked like a major coup. He just guided the Bearcats to the college football playoff in year 3. The world's foremost Limburger appreciator hates how much this stinks. That's referencing himself there. Fickell tried to modernize the offense and get away from bully ball. That became the program's identity under Barry Alvarez, Brett Bielema, and Paul Chryst. It didn't work. He couldn't find a quarterback, and now the Badgers can't run the ball either. Last season, the Badgers went 5-7, the program's first losing season since 2001. Now, after a hopeless 37-0 home loss to an average Iowa team, they're 2-4 and staring at the worst season since Alvarez's first season in 1990. The team does nothing well. It scored more than 17 points in one game this season, and that was against Middle Tennessee State. The good news is the next 2 games are only against number 1 Ohio State, number 8 Oregon.
Oh, good.
Fans are chanting "Fire Fickell" at Camp Randall, and it seems like a matter of weeks until they get their wish. It will cost around $28 million to move on, which would be the 3rd largest buyout ever paid in the sport, but it's cheap compared to Penn State. Iowa was a fireable offense. Ohio State is going to be a fireable offense. I can't imagine a world where the Badgers are going to come out anything but flat against Ohio State, because they came out flat against Maryland after getting beat by Alabama, and they came out flat at home against Iowa after they spent their entire offseason getting ready for that game.
The line that sticks out to me the most is the try to modernize the offense, try to do that and get away from bully ball, and then all of a sudden now this program can't do anything right in any of its 3 phases, and that's just the on-field product. I'm almost thinking in that sense, it's like, the phrase of a wolf in sheepskin. It's vice versa in this case. Almost, it feels like that this is a sheep in wolf skin right now, trying to see the show that they can hang, but right now it's not working. It's not working right now.
With this, where's your line for firing Fickell after this game? Is it, if they get embarrassed again, is it a shutout? If they keep it close, does he keep his job? Or are you I don't want to fire him till the season end person? Because I get the case for keeping him around. But if you're going to fire him, honestly, the most damning part about not firing him is that he has nobody on the staff that anyone would ever consider a up-and-coming or a potential head coach anytime soon.
That's my concern, is that I feel like you have to ride this one out. It's terrible to feel like that, and yeah, I don't know exactly that there's going to be one fix. Wisconsin going on some type of miraculous run, I mean, it feels like, how can that happen? What is the first thing that's going to happen? Like in a game like this too, and we've said it week after week, going even into the Michigan game, one big thing has to go right your way, it has to go in your favor. But that's not what's going to happen here. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll see if there's some magic that could be sprinkled upon Camp Randall. But realistically speaking, I think you have to ride this one out. Otherwise, it just opens up Pandora's box in terms of who do you go to next? Who is the person that can rally this team? Because if you do this in season, I feel like The season, unfortunately, does feel like it's over. It does feel like that. What are you working for now? What are you working towards? Guys are showing up. They're doing their thing. But now, if you decide to fire Fickell in season, who's going to take over? Who is going to inspire this team to keep doing what they're doing when they already feel like that they're pretty lost and they're trying to feel like they're trying to understand what their identity is? And then from there, who are you going to lose on? Because then that ultimately, I feel like that you're already losing some big recruits that Luke Fickell brought in that have committed to Wisconsin, guys that are teetering right now. So then you just lose those recruits right away from there. So it's just a tough situation. I do feel like that wait till the end of the season to do it, but either way, I think it's almost just feels like it's kind of imminent at this point.
Barstool Big Cat had a tweet earlier this week insinuating that UW Chancellor Jennifer Mnuchin doesn't care about the state of the football program nearly as much as she should. I don't know, honestly, how much, and you can see it on the stream right there, how much the chancellor's supposed to care. I really don't know. I have no idea. I know there are stories that Barry shared on the air and off the air about how the battles he fought at Wisconsin with more the board than maybe the chancellor or president, and Badgers really had it humming along when it was Donna Shalala, Pat Richter, and Barry Alvarez. Barry as the coach, Pat Richter as the AD, and Donna as the chancellor or president. She understood what football meant to the university overall, and it's an academic university. Wisconsin's an amazing academic university. There are a lot of amazing academic universities, and I think if she does not care about football properly, and I don't know the answer to that, that's her not understanding branding. Because there are a lot of great schools to go to. There are so many amazing schools in this country, and UW is one of them. But there are plenty of people with free will to go where they want to go. And they might say, well, if I'm going to pick schools that don't have a good football program and I just want to go on education, well, maybe I'll just go to Harvard or Penn or Northwestern. If I want to pick a good school that has an enjoyable college atmosphere and a great and a better football program, but in similar education, I'll go to Michigan. Or Illinois, right? I mean, like, that's the issue that I think sometimes academics, if this is the case, forget that brand matters for college, that not everyone goes to college just for the learning. You know, like you go there for the atmosphere, and you're not in Florida. Like, you're in Wisconsin.
Nebraska fans, to an extent,
right,
they're kind of coming back up. Like,
right.
It's on the come up right now.
Right. And you have to have a reason to entice people, at least some, beyond just the majors. It's important. The football players and the athletes might not be coming here specifically for the education, but they always appreciate it. But if you have choices to where to go to school, the football program applies to the aesthetic of the school, just like the frat life, or the, what is that called? The
Greek life.
Frat row?
Greek life, and the nightlife and the campus life. All those things apply, and everyone's going to have different sensibilities to it. But if you don't care about go see how admissions and everything else will be at the University of Wisconsin if the football team is terrible forever. I mean, if this football team goes back to how it was in the 80s. Donna Shalala understood, Pat Richter understood. It is your forward-facing brand for every university. And there are. Stanford's a hell of a university, and they put together a good football program. It's not always as good as Wisconsin, but they've had some hell of a runs.
Yeah.
And so great schools can also put together great football programs. They're not mutually exclusive.
There's something that comes to mind. So I actually, in college, was working in an admissions office. And I remember going through the training. This is one specific thing, and this is a principle I always live with in life in general. They might not always remember what they say to you verbatim, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. When you come, how do you feel when you come to the University of Wisconsin? How do you feel, especially, how do you feel when you're going to a University of Wisconsin-Madison? You're going to a Badger football game. How are you feeling? Like that, that's just something that sticks out to me. It's the feeling. It's the vibe. It's what are you giving? Do you care about this? I'm not going to sit here and, to be totally honest, and debate, like, figure out whether or not and question, like, if Chancellor Mnuchin cares about the program. That is very much up to them to decide. Where are their priorities? How do they want to make sure? But I get exactly what you're saying, because brand does matter. Brand matters. You have to make sure that, like, you're doing everything that you can to protect that brand, to protect that this is Wisconsin football, protect your identity. I feel like that's what's in jeopardy right now, because, again, not just from the product on the field, but overall, the program. If you have The Athletic writing saying that they are not doing anything right, that is more than just the product on the field. That is how this entire program is being run, and partly, too, about how the athletic department is trying to run this team, or, lack thereof failing to do so right now.
Let's get to Riley Yauch is out. We got Primetime Warshine, the original producer of the show Behind the Glass. Let's get to the Badgers Twitter portal.
What?
It's time for the Badgers Twitter portal.
Yeah, guys, this is new since I last took over this show, or since I gave it up to Riley Yauch. But he has invented the Badgers Twitter portal, guys. So we got to dive into it today. So the one that caught my eye is that today, guys, is an awesome day. Because while Badgers football may be awful, while there might be no good reason to feel good about Badgers football, it is the 15-year anniversary of them knocking off No. 1 Ohio State at Camp Randall. J.J. Watt put this tweet out, I believe last night or maybe earlier today, talking about the David Gilreath opening kickoff. Now, this is what he says in his tweet. I don't know if he's trying to do a poem or what he was doing here. David Gilreath started the night out right, taking the opening kick to the crib. It was all gravy from there. BK, have it your way. I think that's a reference to the Burger King commercial.
Wait, I don't want to finish that. We're not.
Everyone gets a turn. I can't rhyme it properly with the jingle of the Burger King commercial. But anyways, guys, it makes me think. David Gilreath, the opening kickoff, bringing it back for a touchdown. What are your favorite plays in Wisconsin football history? Like, what are the ones that stick out in your mind? Jim, I'll start with you here. What comes to mind?
I will go with the first one that comes to mind is obviously this. This might be the greatest play in Wisconsin football history. Taking the opening kickoff back. College game day was in town. Ohio State looked unbeatable. They take the opening kickoff back. The place was electric. The place was loud and proud from start to finish. The jump around was the most intense I've ever been a part of. It was amazing. Surreal and special was also seeing Melvin Gordon at the end of the third quarter make his run to the student section.
Oh, yeah.
To score a touchdown right before the jump around with snow falling and everything just looking amazing. The aesthetic, the record. They were down 17 or 14 to nothing, and he ended up breaking off that record. So those are two that come to mind for me.
Favorite for me, attending as a fan, was also a kick return, and it was to start the game. I think it was against Nebraska. It was like a friend of mine was in town. First time I ever got to attend a game at Camp Randall as a fan. That one was an electric one because I think it came down to the final play. This was the 2021 season to keep I believe this actually clinched the bowl streak, to keep the bowl streak alive. That one was on ABC. It was a good game. To start, I can't remember who returned the kickoff, but it was electric. It woke me up, too, because we were tailgating for a good portion of the morning. So
okay. All right.
Woke me up. Needed some coffee for that 2:30 kickoff. We started early.
All right. Pablo Iglesias knows how to get it rocking in Madison. All right.
One honorable mention there before we get to David Gilreath. I would say when Ron Dane broke the record.
Okay.
That's just one of those, like, a build-up.
What year was that?
That would have been, 97?
Okay, so I wasn't alive.
Yeah. All right. Well,
that was
Shut up, Brian. Shut up, Pablo. All right. Steinhoffels is celebrating 91 years of bringing style and quality to Wisconsin homes. As a 100% employee-owned company, you'll always get honest service and no high-pressure sales. Find your perfect night's sleep with Steinhoffels. Discover your sleep system and let their decorating solution experts help you design every room in your home. From the latest trends to trusted quality, Steinhoffels has everything you need to make your space feel like you. Celebrate 91 years of Steinhoffels. Shop in-store or online at steinhoffels.com. David Gilreath coming up next.
For 91 years, Steinhoffels has been Wisconsin's local furniture and mattress leader, and we're celebrating our anniversary. During Steinhoffels' Friends and Family Sale, save 10% store-wide, or take advantage of Steinhoffels' 36-month 0% financing. Plus, take $91 off every $9.99 you spend, and get a $200 MasterCard rewards card when you use your Steinhoffels credit card. Because after 91 years, you're more than customers, you're family.
Underway. David Gilreath from the 3. 35, explodes midfield. A chance to return the opening kickoff for 6. He'll take it to the house. 97 yards. David Gilreath, the senior from Minneapolis.
We are thrilled to be joined by the star of that moment, David Gilreath, one of the greatest plays, honestly, in Wisconsin Badgers football history, authored by David Gilreath. And David, thanks for hopping on and joining us again. And also, happy anniversary. It was 15 years ago tonight that play happened. Were you aware of that?
I was made aware yesterday by a colleague, a peer of mine, who told me about the tweet from JJ.
Yeah.
Seen
yes.
that? I guess he gave me a nice shout out, and I was like, you know what? It has been 15 years. It hasn't felt like it because, Badger Nation has continued to remind me over the years, and it was a nice moment, a great moment in our history, and I feel really grateful for our community with that. So it's it hasn't felt like 15 years, and I don't feel like I guess I'm 36, so. It was. I felt like a teenager at the time. During that time, right? It was you're in your formative years, right? But it's been a good time since then. I've had a great time since that return.
David, I mean that was just electric to get to hear that on the broadcast to start off a game too. I mean, just walk us through those moments of what it was like to hear that roar. What do you recall as soon as you crossed that end zone? What was the first thought?
I remember just the entire team jumping on me, right? Like I just remember like people that weren't on the kickoff team, the kickoff return team, like John Clay and were the Scott Tozine, they were in the end zone. I'm like, what's going on? And they were jumping on me. It was a great time. But during the return, honestly, I don't remember. I remember the return, but I don't remember hearing anything outside of silence and just thinking, I got to outrun some guys. And it was a good time. And, moments leading up to that return were all great with the College Game Day and the Sky cameras and things. It was just a great moment and something that I could have never imagined as you grow up as a kid and picture yourself being in those moments, but I could have never actually imagined that happening.
It's funny. I remember being in the press box, and they had a TV up there, and they were testing out the 4K, and they were just kind of working on that technology, and they were showing it off in the press box of trying to work towards it. David, obviously, I covered that team, and I saw you that I was in the press box that day, and that team was one of the best the Badgers have ever had. What was the vibe of the team, confidence level and mentality level before that game started? Because that was your opportunity to announce your presence with authority to a national audience, and obviously you seized the moment, but what was the team's vibe going into that?
Yeah, we had a good team. We had a great team that year, and we knew we had played Ohio State tough in past years, right? We played them at Ohio State the year before, and we felt like we wouldn't say the better team, but we played better that day. We just turned the ball over a few more times, and I think they returned a kick. I think it was Ray Small that returned a kick, and then the year before that, my sophomore year, we had them down 7 with maybe 2 or 3 minutes left, and Terrell Pryor had his his outgoing party, or it was just, and I think it was Benny Wells had a touchdown. We had a loaded team then too, and we thought we played them well and should have beat them. Freshman year as well, we played them tough down at Ohio State when they were number 1. So we had confidence that we could beat Ohio State and compete, right? If we played well and we stuck to our assignments and we didn't turn the ball over, right? Things that you do to be the number 1 team, convert third downs and don't let up a lot of big plays. And I think we did that day, that night. But we had a lot of confidence. We had a good team. I know we had a bad spring practice once that spring, and Paul Chris had brought us in and said, you guys have potential to be a great football team, and you're not showing on a daily basis. So we knew we had something special. So it was just putting it together, and I think we played a pretty full ball, complete ball game with the 3 phases, with special teams, defense and offense, with not turning the ball. I think we maybe had 1 turnover, but we converted our third downs. We didn't let up a lot of big plays. That I remember. We actually didn't really have a lot of big plays, right? It was just nickel and diamond down the field, convert third downs and not turn the ball over, which can keep you in ball games.
David, I know it's apples and oranges with what's ahead this weekend for this team, but still, just the momentum that a win like that, taking down number 1 in your house, like what type of momentum did that give you guys that, if a miracle happens here at Camp Randall this weekend, either way, the type of momentum a win like that gives you guys as you move forward in the season?
Yeah, I mean, it gives you tremendous momentum, right? I mean, it gives you some some bragging rights. It gives you can recruit a lot better, right? It gets some money, it generates some revenue. It's a lot of different things that can happen. But it's hard to be the number 1 team, but it's not impossible, right? The number 1 team doesn't usually stay that way all season because somebody beats them at some point. Somebody upsets them, and I don't see why we can't do it. It's been a couple of times I believe that we've beaten Ohio State. We've been underdogs, and I'm guessing we've probably been underdogs each time we beat them. So this isn't anything that's out the ordinary. It's just we need to go out there and execute this week, and it's a tough feat, right? This is one of the tougher Ohio State teams I've seen in a long time, especially coming off a national championship year, and it's tough, right? But again, it's still football. That's why they play the game. If you convert on third downs, you don't turn the ball over, you don't beat yourselves. You have a chance to compete and win the ball game.
David, with your time at Wisconsin, you never were a part of a team struggling like this. It's a different guy at the helm, Luke Fickell. It's not a former Badger. Paul Chryst isn't around. The program looks lost at moments. They lost 37-0 to Iowa. From afar, like, what is your view on Wisconsin, like what these kids are going through, what the coach is going through, but then also like trying to look like Badger football again, I think is the first step.
Yeah, I think that they were trying to reinvent the identity, reinvent the wheel. It seemed like about a couple years ago, I think, with the relaunch and the air raid and different things like that. And that can happen, right? That's as you start to innovate and you see different things come into play, like the NIL and the transfer portal. You want to keep up with the times, but maybe that didn't work for us. And time hasn't, it's not. We don't know yet if it works or not, but it's. You try to infuse a different system and a different coach, and different things happen like that. And again, I think it's time, trial and error. It's a different. He's not a Wisconsin guy, right? So he's trying to figure out how to recruit here. He's trying to figure out how to get along with the donor base and just different things that comes along with being a head coach. Now coming into a time when the walk-on, tradition is not the same as it was when, Barry Alvarez, Paul Chryst, or Coach Bielema were, at the helm. And he's trying to navigate a few different things. I got empathy for Luke in this because I think he's a good coach. He's proven that he's being able to do it at a high level. It's just now, how do you come in and implement your system and actually have time to do that, right? It's you need to win now rather than developing talent over 4 years and having 4 or 5 years to do that, right? So it's just tough. I empathize with them, but they don't have the grace period they had 10 years ago, 6 years ago. So it's tough.
David, so Barry Alvarez talked a little bit about this too, and really Luke Fickell is mentioned, and some of the players as well, in terms of finding that identity, almost a lost identity right now. They're still trying to find that, but Barry Alvarez did say earlier in this week on the Barry Alvarez show is that is an off-season thing. That's a two-a-day thing. That is a group coming together. How did you guys, as a unit, during the off-season, even during the season too, whenever you faced adversity, how did you guys make sure that you stuck to your identity, you saw what your identity was in terms of that process?
Yeah, it's you mentioned earlier about not going through that type of season that we're going through now. We actually didn't, we didn't have a really good season my sophomore year. That would be 2008. So
was
we
that
came
the 7-6 season?
Yeah, I think maybe 7. Yep. So we weren't, up to standard, right? We won 6 games. We got to a bowl game. We got blown out by Florida State, right? And it was a tough year. We didn't know. I wouldn't say we lost our identity, but we were trying to figure out quarterback situation. Coach Bielema was still coming into his own, right? Like getting his full recruiting class in the door, and again, finding that quarterback situation. And that's when we found Scott Tolzien in that offseason, right? He was the third-string quarterback and ended up being the starter, and obviously the rest is history. But we leaned a lot on our leaders that had seen success prior years. I remember O'Brien Schofield stepping up in that offseason. J.J. Watt came around. Garrett Graham was in there. You see the leaders, that started to step up and hold us accountable during those offseason trainings. During 2-a-days, which we had 2-a-days at that time. I don't think they have them exactly the same way now. So you have less prep time and different things like that, right? But I think we leaned heavily on our leaders. Again, Coach Coach Chris had stepped up to us in one of those off seasons and said, "You got a great team in front of you." And I believe we actually had a better team in 2009 than we had in 2010, the year we won the Big Ten championship. I think the year before we had a better team because we did have a Brian Schofield, we had Garrett Graham, along with obviously Lance Kendrick and those guys. We had a healthy Chris Borland. We did add James White, I believe, that next year, but we had a loaded squad that junior year. And again, that's coming off of the 7-6 year. We then end up winning 10 games, beating Miami in the Champs Bowl. And I just think to answer your question, we relied heavily on leadership that had seen success the previous years. And we trusted that. We trusted the process with Coach Chris, Coach Bielema, Coach Dave Dorn, and obviously the support staff.
David, you mentioned before of Fickell not being a Wisconsin guy and trying to learn that culture. You're from Minnesota. You came to Wisconsin. Take us back to your recruitment. What was drawing you to Wisconsin when you were a high school kid and you said, I want to go play there, whether it was the football identity, the coaching staff, the players? Like, tell us kind of what brought you to Wisconsin from Minnesota, because I'm sure plenty of schools were after you.
Yeah, I was actually committed to Minnesota for a good period of time under Glenn Mason, and they had a solid program for years, right? They weren't blowing any teams out the water, right? But they win 7, 8, 9 games a year. They were consistent. They had a run game. I thought I could come in and as any high school recruit and change the program, right? Like any high school recruit. But as I matured a bit in the process, I actually got a chance to see Wisconsin. I came to campus the year they played Penn State, and Joe Paterno had broke his leg on the sideline. That was my recruit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Dre Levy.
Yeah.
He broke his leg on the sideline, and then he was in the booth, I guess, the rest of the year. So this was, I think Dre Levy crashed into him on the sideline. And so that would have been, 06, maybe 05? But I came recruiting visit to Camp Randall. I had never seen anything like that. And so coming from Minnesota, where you see the Metrodome, and maybe 40, 50,000 scattered, it's loud, it's nice, it's a great atmosphere, but it wasn't Camp Randall, and it was unbelievable. And then Wisconsin had beat Arkansas in the Capital One Bowl. They were the number 6 team in the country, and it was just, the program was great. And I came around the culture was a winning culture, and I thought I had seen a winning culture until I seen that. And so it was nice to be a part of that. And it was a pretty easy decision after that. How can I come in and make an impact? Maybe not change the program like again, high school kids think they can do, but how do I come in and make an impact, develop, and then potentially, hopefully get to the NFL? Because I have leaders in front of me. I have a blueprint that I can go after. And Wisconsin was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. I just told somebody that the other day, was, thinking back now at 36, where I'm at right now, and it's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And I got a chance to put this helmet up in my office just a second ago, but I tried to put a couple of things I got. It led to my my degree and my master's degree, and I would encourage any kid to go out there and explore Wisconsin, because it could offer some tremendous opportunities for you. I'm 15 years removed from the kickoff return. It still affects my life, right? So it's I would encourage that.
Love to hear it. David, last one for me. Our namesake, the jump around. We got to ask you, your favorite memory, whether it was the first, whether you were a recruit, or your last one. Any favorite jump around moment that you could share with us that just, if you think about it today, it gives you chills? What's David Gilreath's best jump around memory?
Probably my first and my last, right? That first one against Washington State. I believe my freshman year, Washington State, we played. It was ABC. It was finally get on the field and seeing that from that perspective was unbelievable. But that last one, we had just beaten Northwestern to clinch the Big Ten title. We were going to the Rose Bowl, and we're all jumping around the field, and it was unbelievable, right? And it was your last one, so I think those are memories that I'll never forget. That time, and I remember being in the crowd during my recruiting visits and different things like that. But you just don't forget that moment when your first game, and then. I mean, it's an opportunity that I hope kids at Wisconsin today get that chance at some point, can experience that last jump around, clinching a Big Ten title to go to the Rose Bowl, right? It's something that I couldn't have, again, imagined, and I'll remember forever.
David, before we let you go, 2 things. One, who do you still kind of stay in contact with from your Badger days, and what are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, I have a group chat with all our receiver groups, right? Like Nick Toon and Jared Abadelis and Richard Kirtley and guys are all in my receiver room. Louis Nzegu, I'm really close with.
Okay.
I mean, Badger guys that are, just Badgers in general. Derek Steinbach's over in administration. He was a track guy. And as far as what I'm doing, I've had a long fun journey, and I would say unique journey since Wisconsin. Currently I'm at Notre Dame High School, a private school here on the peninsula in the Bay Area. I'm the director of advancement here, to oversee endowments, capital campaigns, and annual funds. So I'm the money guy. I'm raising the money for them here.
Yeah.
It's helping people alleviate with their tax problems here in the Bay Area. So it's pretty fun. Really unique opportunity where my daughter's actually at the preschool right here on campus. So that was one of the big decision makers in my life at this moment. So she's 4, so that's a big part of my life. She just came back to Wisconsin last weekend for a wedding, so I was there in and out 16 hours. Previously, I was at Cal Berkeley doing the same thing. Right, it was fundraising in their athletic department, and then Wisconsin. Previous to that, I was working with Chad Kimmel. You may know him in administration with Derek Steinbach. You all may know guys like Chris McIntosh, DeMarcus Sedberry, and who was the Mitchell Pinta, right? And then it starts to trickle down that hierarchy. There was me and Derek and Chad, and it was so that's what I'm doing. I love to traveled a lot. I've seen Badgers everywhere, literally everywhere I go. That's always fun. Me and my wife, we always talk about. We always kind of one up each other. She went to UCLA. I went to Wisconsin. Who are we going to see first, right? It's always Wisconsin. Every single time. It doesn't matter where we are. Rome, Istanbul. It could be South America. We see a Badger somewhere. So it's kind of like a coat. I can't classify it as a coat, but I feel like it is. It is. It's a nice one.
Who would have thought Wisconsin and UCLA Big Ten rivals now?
Unbelievable. Yeah. I was just leaving Wisconsin when that happened, like that whole transition of Big Ten. And then I get to Cal, and then there was rumors swirling that, Cal could be joining the Big Ten along with Washington and Oregon and Stanford. I'm like, oh, nice. And then goes Oregon and Washington, and I'm like, and USC and UCLA, and I'm like, what about Cal? And we're sitting here like, I didn't think I'd be in a Mountain West conference, right? I signed up to go to Cal because I tried to stay with a program, and but fortunately they ended up going to the ACC. But that was a heck of a transition, and it was cool that the Big Ten transition happens with the West Coast because I got a chance to go to USC last year to see that game, so that's pretty nice. And hopefully at some point I get a chance to go back down to the Rose Bowl and see UCLA play Wisconsin, right? So that'd be nice at some point. Actually, they get up here. Badgers come to the Bay Area next year, or
I think it might be next year.
It's next year in 2028 and 29 or something like that. I can't remember, but there's a what they call a crossover game or home and home series. So Cal will play at Madison maybe in 2029, I believe, and then I think it's one of those two. Well, you can look it up, but it'd be nice. At that point, my daughter would be old enough to go out and enjoy it. So.
Well, make sure to bring it by. Our tailgate is family friendly, so you can come by our tailgate and say hi to everyone. And David, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to reminisce. And again, one more time, happy anniversary, 15-year anniversary of one of the greatest moments in Badger football history.
I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping it alive. It's only a great tradition because you keep it alive, right? You keep it going, and I appreciate that. And let me know if you ever need anything from me, any more commentary, any more stories. I can keep those going as well.
David, you've always been great. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Jim. Thank you.
All right, this is the Jump Around, a Badger-dedicated show live on the ESPN Madison and the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube streams. For Pablo Iglesias, I'm Jim Rutledge in Primetime Willerstein. Thanks for watching.